Okay, we are live. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Got an interesting show tonight with an interesting overriding question, and that, of course, is the future of Manchester United manager Erik Ten Hag. What does the future hold for the Dutchman? Is it only a matter of time until he gets sacked, or can he survive? Can he hang on for another season and maybe have a really good crack at it next year under a new direction with Ineos, with the proper structure surrounding him? Can it be done? Will it be done? I don't know. I really don't know at this point, and I think that we're getting closer and closer towards some kind of a decision being made. I think it's becoming more and more obvious that this season has been an absolute categorical failure in every single metric possible. Champions League, knocked out in the group stage. We lost 4 out of 6 matches. We drew 1. We picked up 4 points in the entire group stage. We went out of the Carabao Cup in the 4th round of that. We're still in the FA Cup. We are currently 6th or 7th in the league. We've got 50 points, and after 32 matches, we have a -goal difference. We've had a lot of injuries, but so have other teams as well. We have not coped this season. We have not adapted this season, and from top to bottom, this season has been an unmitigated disaster in so many ways. And with this most recent poor performance and poor showing against Bournemouth at the weekend, there does seem to have been a shift in the feeling around the club, a shift in the feeling in terms of what we're seeing from the press, and a shift in what we're seeing from player reactions as well. Of course, there was that entire Alejandro Garnacho incident, which does seem to be resolved now with an apology. Take note of that, Jadon Sancho, of course. But beyond that, it does seem that there has been a shift in demeanour at Manchester United, and there does seem to have been a shift in vibe and the energy surrounding Erik Ten Hag, and we are seeing now certain outlets probably jumping the gun early. I will say that they will be jumping the gun early, the likes of the Manchester Evening News. They will always try to get the first scoop on these kind of things. You will see it from other fan channels as well. You'll see it from other sources on YouTube, online, on Twitter, whatever. But I think that the momentum of Erik Ten Hag leaving the club has swung and shifted irreversibly towards Erik Ten Hag going. I don't know if it's going to swing back. I don't think this is quite a pendulum type situation where it's going to swing backwards and forwards. I think Ineos will have made their mind up. I think they're waiting for decisions from the people they've appointed. Your Omar Baradas, your Jason Wilcox, your probably Dave Brailsfords, your Blancs, people like that probably will have made some kind of a decision or be in decision-making processes, because they have to be. They have to be, because if Erik Ten Hag is not your man, you're, I believe, 2 months out from the summer transfer window opening. That's a big replacement that you're going to have to make on top of a massive summer transfer window in terms of players coming and players going. A lot of decisions need to be made. A lot of changes need to be brought in, and will the manager be one of them? I guess we're going to find out. I really do. Now look, I'm asking you guys in the poll tonight, and it is, should Erik Ten Hag be sacked? Who would you like to see brought in as a replacement? Because I think it's about that type of the season. I think that's getting to this stage now where we're going to have to do, unfortunately, is begin to think about potential next managers. It does look like we are heading in that direction once again, and a lot of us, this brings back bad memories of appointing David Moyes, and then moving on to Van Gaal, and then on to Jose Mourinho, then to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, then to Ralf Rangnick, and now to Erik Ten Hag. And what comes next? Who comes next? Is it going to be yet another manager? Is it going to be yet another repetition of the same vicious cycle that has swept through this club for the last 10 years? It's an interesting one, because whilst we can all admit that the cycle needs to end at some point, and that we can't continually let managers down and have managers fail at the club and go every 2 or 3 years in a completely different direction, I think a lot of us are also at the point now where we're like, there has to still be some accountability of managerial performance as much as there is of player performance. And will Erik Ten Hag have been let down by some players this season? Yeah, absolutely. In terms of their level of performance, in terms of what he's got out of them on the pitch, absolutely, he will have been let down. But has he let himself down in many other regards? I also think that's true. And I've been saying this for months. I've been saying it, if I said it once, I've said it 1,000 times over. It's not solely the manager's fault. It's not solely the player's fault. And that shouldn't be a big statement. That should not be a big decision call for me to make. But it is, because that's the narrative that we will see in the press online, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, it's going to be the players pitted against the manager once again whenever it's both part of the same machine. They're both cogs in the same function and they're both working towards the same goal. As much as the players have let Ten Hag down, Ten Hag has probably let himself down equally as much. So it's an interesting one for sure. Lucky Sings down there, Graham Potter or Motta. Ideally, you would want Thomas Tuchel. Fair enough. I mean, I put down some options. It's not a categorical list. I'm just going by who's most heavily linked in the press in the last 48 hours or so since that Bournemouth 2-2 draw on Saturday. But it could be anyone. It could be Thomas Tuchel. It could be Erik Ten Hag. It could be Graham Potter. It could be De Zerbi. It could be Nagelsmann or Motta. There are managers out there. It's despite what we might see online, it is not solely sack Ten Hag, get Gareth Southgate. That is not going to be the categorical be all and end all of a potential managerial change. No matter what we see online. Guys, big ups on those 10 likes as well. Much appreciated. And make sure to drop a like if you haven't already. And let me know your thoughts as well, because certainly, look, for me, this is an interesting one with the manager situation, because it's not a situation I wanted to find myself in. It's not a place that I wanted United to be at any point this season. It's a lot easier for Manchester United fans. It's a lot easier for us as a club if Erik Ten Hag managed to turn it around at some point. If the performances picked up, if the results picked up, and he did really well. But can that come? Will that come? I think we've been asking this for quite a while on the channel, and unfortunately, I think now, based upon the evidence that we do have across this season and across even last season, at times, that I don't think Erik Ten Hag can turn this around. I do not think that he is going to be able to turn this around. I really don't. And that's the position that I find myself in at this moment in time. I just cannot see Erik Ten Hag turning things around in 7 matches, because he's had all season to turn it around and fix the obviously broken system that obviously isn't working, that obviously is just never going to work. Trying to play a style of football that we don't have the players for, persisting with it, even though that's not the principles of play that got you the job in the first place. I just can't get behind it anymore. I just don't think he can survive. And it's not me out here baying for the manager's head. It's not me out here saying, get this man out of my club right now. Or, like we see in some fan channels, questioning his mental state. I don't think it's that there. I just don't think Erik Ten Hag, based on the evidence that we have, and that's all we have to go off, can turn this around, will turn this around, or will acknowledge that it needs to be turned around. That's the position that I find myself in. I think it's very, very difficult to be in this position, and ideally we don't want to be here. I'm sure when Erik Ten Hag got the job, we were all very excited, and I'm sure that we had many, many thoughts and ideas about how he could transform this club into being something special, but it never happened. It never happened. And I just don't know how to feel about it. Like, I really don't. We see the same problems every single week. A midfield that has so much space in it, a defense that is all over the show, a press that is one of the worst coast presses in the entire Premier League. Tactically, it's inept. In terms of the discipline of the team, is very poor. In terms of the management of player fitness, again, very, very, very poor at best. How many times have we had players come back this season who, after one injury, have immediately got re-injured? We look at Aaron Wan-Bissaka, rushed back, played 6 minutes against Brighton and then was off. We look at Luke Shaw, rushed back against Luton Town, lasted about 20 minutes and was off. We lost Raphael Varane and Johnny Evans against Liverpool in the league, I think. And they both came on. Evans came on at half-time. We lost 2 centre-backs in that situation because we keep playing players who are not fit, who cannot be on the pitch, and we keep picking them. So again, is this coming down to the management? Is it coming down to the medical staff? I don't know. But I'm just in this mindset now that I cannot see Ten Hag turning it around. And I'm someone who really wanted Ten Hag when he first came in, and I was very excited. And at times last season, yeah, I thought that we were really going to go places. I thought we would improve in the summer. I thought that we would build upon that and we would take the next step. Not that we would challenge for a league, not that we would win a league, but that we could be a team that goes from 4th to 3rd, that we could improve by 10 points over the course of this season, and maybe next season we could be in a position to go after a league title. But we're not there. We're as far away as ever. And at the moment, we could be on for the worst ever point tally in Premier League history from Man United. We need 7 points from the last 6 games to equal it. We need 8 points, obviously, to beat it. Will we even get 8 points from the last 24? I don't know. We play Arsenal, we play Brighton, we play Crystal Palace, teams who have been picking up results at least recently. I don't know. But look, I guess we'll move on from Erik Ten Hag for the moment. We'll talk about Donny van de Beek, because this is something that is just popped up in the last couple of minutes here. Donny van de Beek will return in June. The buy option will not be triggered by Eintracht Frankfurt. Donny will look for a new club in the summer transfer window. Again, it's another player we just cannot shift and we just cannot move on. And the sooner we get him out, the better, because he is symptomatic of so many problems at our football club. Big ups to Luman as well for joining in. Much appreciated, buddy. Guys, thanks very much for 13 likes as well. Much appreciated across the board for all those. Anyway, look, I guess if we're talking about Garnacho, the source close to Garnacho has privately described the situation around him liking a social media post regarding Ten Hag as totally over and a complete non-issue. The club appreciates Garnacho quickly, unlike the post, and considers the matter dealt with internally after an apology from the player. So that's a non-issue. I don't know. Anyway, look, guys, drop your thoughts in down below. Let me know what you think about potential new management. But I guess if we want to get talking about is the current manager, do we think that there's any hope for Erik Ten Hag to be kept on this season? Because I just can't see it. I really cannot see it at this point. And I think Ineos who will want to see improvements, who will want to compete at the elite level, who will want that kind of drive within the club and will hold those standards up. I just can't see them taking it. I just can't see them accepting. Big ups to Daniel as well for joining in. Much appreciated. Yeah, guys, look, been a weird week anyway. Had a lot of things go on towards the end of last week, obviously, and channel was fairly inactive, but we're back and back to normal service this week, and I do have some exciting changes anyway lined up. Looking forward to getting working on them this week, and hopefully we're going to start to see the first of these new video types and everything coming out, so that'll be fun. And Daniel says, glad to see the channel's viewers have brains. 0, and I mean 0 votes for Gareth Southgate. I mean, I'm not surprised by that. Gareth Southgate is a bit of a boogeyman amongst the United fan base at this moment in time. Nagelsmann seems to be number 1 option, Motta number 2. Even Graham Potter's getting votes over Southgate. I don't know. I don't know, guys. It just looks like the situation we're going to find ourselves in. And I guess it's one of those, because outside circumstances will begin to dictate what we will see from Manchester United in the next couple of weeks, in terms of Erik Ten Hag's long-term future, in terms of what's going to happen to him moving on beyond this season. Because Liverpool need a manager. Klopp is going. Bayern Munich need a manager. Tuchel is going. Barcelona need a manager. Xavi is going. Real Madrid potentially could replace Carlo Ancelotti this season, so there's another one. You could see Mauricio Pochettino sacked at Chelsea. That's within the realms of possibility. And then again, you could see other top clubs look to change manager as well. So, my question is, can we afford to sit on our hands and let the top management go across Europe if that's going to be the case? I don't think we can either. Big ups to Rick. It's on YouTube. It's on YouTubers to want him sacked. Why do you want the manager sacked? He is a human being. I mean, I've never said that I want the guy sacked. I mean, I went talking about this anyway at the start of the stream for about 10 minutes. I'm not saying sack the manager, because we've done this for 10 years and I'm not blind to the fact that fixing this club is a lot deeper and a lot harder than just sacking Erik Ten Hag and all of a sudden this team will be winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues. I'm not saying that, because I don't think you can say that. All I can say is, based upon the current evidence of this season, We have 50 points after 32 matches. We are in minus goal difference. We are on for the most losses in a Premier League season, the most losses in a season since the 1980s. We are also a team that has took categorically massive steps back, and we have a new ownership coming in, and new ownerships are very prone to looking to install their own men, to bring in their own style, bring in their own philosophies. And what they will do is they will look at the situation, they will evaluate what has gone wrong this season, and they may well decide that Erik Ten Hag has to go as manager along with a lot of the players. And that, I think, is the most realistic situation, because Erik Ten Hag's had the opportunity to go out there and save himself, to reverse the stem of these bad results all season long, and we haven't changed anything. We are playing the same brand of football that we played against Wolves on match day 1 than what we did against Bournemouth on match day 32. We have had big moments this season. We have scored fantastic goals at times this season, and it hasn't been a season without some ups, but there has been far too many downs as well across the board, and that will be considered within the thinking of the club. I am not out here saying sack Erik Ten Hag. I am out here saying that based upon the evidence that we have across this season and towards the end of last season, that it is very likely that Ineos will want to make that change at Manchester United based upon that. Other clubs are out there: Liverpool, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Juventus, AC Milan, looking for new management. Ineos may well take the decision to strike quickly to ensure they can get a top target in. That might be something that they do. So it's one of those. If I thought that sacking the manager was the answer to all of our questions, then I would be an idiot. And likewise, if I think the manager is free of any guilt and should be given the free pass based upon this season, then I'm also an idiot. But I like to think of myself as not an idiot. I like to think of myself as someone who looks at the situation and sees it for what it is. You've got a squad of players. Some of them don't want to be there. Some of them aren't good enough. A lot of them aren't fit enough. And they have played some rotten football this season on many an occasion. But you also have a manager out there who has made a lot of mistakes with his selections. You have manager who has run some players into the ground, overplayed some, underpaid others, and he has made tactical issues every single week, and his plan A is just not good enough. Both can be true. It's one of those things. It's like I always say on this channel, it is not a case of black and white. It is not a case of Erik Ten Hag good, players bad, players good, Erik Ten Hag bad. Everything is a mix of grey. It is always within that spectrum, and ultimately Ineos may choose to keep Erik Ten Hag, but I think based upon what we're seeing at the minute, it's very unlikely that he's going to be staying on. That's my thoughts. Who have I got as well? Daniel is on there. The one thing I said for Ten Hag is in the last game we have 6 defensive players around the first team squad that are injured, which is crazy. Again, my question is, where is that there coming from? Because according to some, there has been overplaying of players and bringing them back when they're not fit. So I don't know. Daniel says Varane and Martinez, the two Sheehan starters, gone. Lindelof and Evans, two pretty decent backup centre backs. Maguire and Campoala, the back line, is obviously no liability. He's a youngster. Yeah, but look, it's one of those, mate. It's also the case that Casemiro, Mount and Bruno was our first choice midfield going into this season, and it's playing at the minute. It's also the case that Højlund, Rashford, Garnacho was the first choice attack going into this season, and they're not firing either. I don't know. It's difficult to put a hand on. It's difficult to say like it's solely down to the injuries, because every club have had injuries. Newcastle, Tottenham, Liverpool have had a lot of injuries this season. City have been without De Bruyne and without Haaland for a lot of this season and will still win the Premier League. So it's one of those. Teams around us are still struggling. Aston Villa as well. But we are the team that is hampered the most. And whose fault is that? Is that the manager's fault? Is that the people who have built the squad? How involved is this manager with the overall transfer strategies? Because it does seem that he has a very big influence upon that. And I don't know. Like, it's so difficult to say, because we know for a fact that we only have one left-footed centre-back. We only have one centre-back at the minute in Harry Maguire Fitz. We also let the only fit left-back go in January. We've ran some players into the ground. We went into this season with a 20-year-old striker and only Martial for backup, which we always knew was going to result in an injury anyway, and leaving us short. So it's one of those. It is one of those. Across the board, it's not been good enough. it hasn't been good enough. But as much of what we look at some of the players and think that are they good enough? Do we need to have a reevaluation on their position? I think that's going to happen with Ten Hag. I really do. I'm not saying that it's something that we should be demanding. I just think it's going to happen. I think based upon what we have out there, based upon what we can see between the lines, and the clear cracking of Erik Ten Hag's personal persona within the media as well, that I just don't know if this is gonna if this is gonna last. Like, I really don't. I think you would have to be so blissfully ignorant or purposely ignorant of the situation to not see what is likely going to happen here, and it's one of those, because Ten Hag's got one of the best win percentages of any manager at United. But then again, so did Jose Mourinho, and Mourinho got sacked. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got sacked for less than this. We've had an entire season of horrendous result after horrendous result. You know, we've performed in the 2 Liverpool matches, yes, of course, and that's always really good. But we've also been beat 3-0 at home by Bournemouth. We also were beat by Crystal Palace at home. We struggled to beat Sheffield United at home. We lost and went with the worst record of any English team in the history of the Champions League this season. We are on course with one more loss to have our worst ever Premier League's loss tally. We could have the lowest ever points tally. So should the manager also be absolved of that either? It's one of these things that is so difficult to say, because yes, injuries have contributed, but other clubs have fought through these injury crises and come out the other side okay. They've still managed to have a competitive season. So Erik Ten Hag's got a lot, and I mean a lot of evaluation from this new ownership, because it will happen. It absolutely will happen. There is no doubt about it. That if they do not think that he is the right man for the job, they will let him go, and they will bring who they think is the right person in. And that is the top and bottom of it. It might be related to results this season. They might get leniently overlooked. They might look at it from the point of view of okay, look, if we had to hire anybody in management right now, would we hire Ten Hag? Would we consider him for the job? The answer is yes, they might still consider him. But I think when you're starting to see briefs coming out that some players are waiting to see what happens to Ten Hag's long-term future before deciding their future at Manchester United, then I think that you're fighting an uphill battle. I just can't see us turning this around with 7 matches left. There's no guarantee of making the FA Cup final. I just don't know. Like, I really don't know. And I'm not advocating for sacking another manager because I think that is going to get everything right. Because if that was the case, then sacking David Moyes would have made us successful. We would have won a league under Van Gaal. Or just sacking a manager would have won us a league under Jose Mourinho or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The circle and the cycle continues. But at some question and at some point, do you have to ask, is this manager taking us in the right position? Is he taking us in the right direction? Will that be what Dan Ashford's going to decide, what Omar Berrada is going to decide, what Jason Wilcox is going to decide, what Dave Brailsford is going to decide, what Jean-Claude Blanc is going to decide, and ultimately what Sir Jim Radcliffe is going to decide? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what I say sitting here on my little YouTube channel. I can just put my opinion out there into the world. I can just say what I think, and you guys can put your comments in and react if you think I'm talking utter bullshit, or if you think I'm talking sense. You know, that's what we can do. I've got loads of comments to go through. Daniel says deserves another season. He's had one great season and one bad season, but the bad season is there's so many injuries. It's been crazy. It's one of those, man. It is. Matata is down there. Ineos, if only Ten Hag did what the majority of the fans want, he would not be that hated. He's doing the total opposite. Rajat said Ten Hag does have a play style. We may not like it. I mean, if we did have a style, it mightn't be good, but it is a style. It is a thing. Big ups to Stephanie down below. Rajat said Dallo can probably play centre back. I mean, I would sooner put Casemiro centre back, honestly. Daniel says, I don't think we have the squad depth for other teams. Is the reason why City are right up there. I liken this to Newcastle's season, but even Newcastle got more points, and I think Newcastle are above us. Rajat, get Palhinha or Onana. Get Onana, not Palhinha, man. He's not good enough on the ball. Steph, carrying too many underperforming passengers regardless of injuries. True. Rajat said, when you fire another coach, scapegoating, sacking him isn't going to fix everything. It's not, but it's one of those. It's like if we think Marcus Rashford isn't good enough, and needs his performance reevaluated because he was really good last season but really bad this season, then do you look at the manager and ask the same questions? It's an interesting thought. Chat Sports saying new manager will keep the same players. I don't know. There's no guarantee about it. It could happen. It might not happen. It might be sacking. It could be. Peter Moran says he should just leave. Rajat laughed about Northside. Not Arsenal bottling. Yeah, I don't know, man. Arsenal's. It's just frustrating, man. It really is, because City are just going to win the league again. Like, it's going to happen. Unfortunately. It's going to happen. Look, guys, get your votes in on the poll anyway. 14% are voting Southgate, 9% for Potter, 36% for Thiago Motta, and 41% for Julian Nagelsmann. Look, I really don't know what's going to happen with Erik Ten Hags, because I think who was it? Put in the comments in, was it Rick? Was it Rick Barlow? And he was have brains and will stick with him. They might do, or they might not. And I feel like it's really redundant and really like a simple point. Me just going, do you know what? He'll either get sacked or he won't get sacked. But I think that's the top and bottom of the situation. Like, there is no in between. They're not going to keep him on. They're not going to keep him on in any other job other than the managerial role. So it's one of those. But I don't know. I think we just look at it, and I think we just got to ask questions. And I think we got a right to ask questions, and I think we got a right to look at things. Rajat said Man City about to do the 4-peat. That's obviously not good. No, it's not. It's not, man. And it's one of those. It's like, I was saying it as well. In terms of breaking City's stranglehold on this league, the only team and the only club I think with the legitimate size to do it is probably Manchester United. Like, Liverpool have had a very good run with their team, but how they can replace that team, I guess, has to be questioned. Arsenal's team doesn't look ready for it. United should be up there, and United can be up there, but I just don't know. Rajat is saying, get Jez, he's between. Get Jez, he's between. Are we talking Jez Motti, are we? I don't know, like, it's one of those. It's like one of us, we look at it in two hands. 50 points and minus goal difference after 32 league matches this season. And then the other hand, we look at it and say highest win percentage of any manager post Sir Alex Ferguson. Then on the other hand, you look and say Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer were fired for much, much less at a different time. And then you look at it in the same hand and you go, he's won our first trophy in 6 years. He's got his Champions League. He's been ravaged by injuries. But every point has a counterpoint, and it's so difficult to know what's going to be happening. Stephanie said, lose to Coventry on Sunday. The fans will need to send all these players to Coventry, so to speak. Honestly, Steph, I would not be taking anything for granted with this football team at this moment in time, and the thought of us losing against Coventry is not. It's definitely something that might have to be considered, and I guess it could be some kind of twisted irony, wouldn't it, that Mark Robin's so instrumental in preserving Sir Alex Ferguson's job. If he beats us on Sunday, then he could be the man who costs a different Man United manager his job in the FA Cup. And poetic irony is certainly out there. It could be a thing. Who knows? Rajat said these players, if we get the extra time, we're gonna shut it up. I don't know, man. Like, honestly, it's so difficult to know what's gonna happen with this team. So hard to predict what United you're gonna get. But I think, I don't know. I think there's no excuses not to be beaten Coventry in the FA Cup. Like, I mean, if we cannot beat Coventry, then I just don't know. Like I really don't know, because the league's gone. There's nothing really to play for in the Premier League at this moment in time. Rajat goes, go on, Everton beat Chelsea. Or is that playing tonight? I think it might be an 8 o'clock kickoff, is it? Chad Sports said Coventry are decent. Yeah, I mean, Coventry are decent. I think they're up there for the playoffs this year. Got a couple of decent players in there. Ellis Sims is a good one. Seems to be scoring quite a few goals for him. For Coventry. Rajat goes, we'll make it difficult. Man, we make every match difficult. Like, that's a given at this point in time. It really is. Hey guys, drop a like in the video. Let's even get up to 20 likes. We're on 19 at the minute. Steph says, stats hide the only real truth that only trophies matter and bare minimum is competing in the Premier League and Champions League. Yeah, Yeah, look, it's one of those. It's the history of this football club is to win trophies and to be successful. And no matter how you sugarcoat it, across the last 6 years, we've won one trophy, and Ten Hag's won the only trophy. But at the same time, you can't excuse it as well. Like we really can't. I can't. I don't think any of us can excuse 50 points in the Premier League at this stage of the season with minus goal difference. Like I really don't think any of us can excuse that either. Big ups to Kieran down there. Even if we win the cup, it changes nothing. With this team is the worst manager we've had. It's one of those. It's like we could have the worst ever points tally of a Premier League season, but he could still have the best win percentage of any Man United manager. Both of those can end up being true, which shows firstly the level of we got to last season, but at the same time it shows how bad we've been this year. We've lost 12 out of 32 league matches. That's one of the worst of all time. ODD is down there. Ten Hag has failed the team. Ten Hag has failed the team in some ways. The team has failed Ten Hag in other ways. They've failed each other, I think, and I think that this is the first season I can really confidently say, with some kind of belief, that I think we're going to see a lot of change, and that change might include the manager. I'm not sitting here like some people might say, screaming down the microphone, demanding Erik Ten Hag be put in the to be dragged out march of shame through Manchester City Centre, march them through Salford, and have rotten tomatoes thrown at them. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying that Erik Ten Hag should have a statue built outside of Old Trafford just yet. I'm saying that based upon this season, 12 losses in the Premier League is not acceptable. Losing 4 out of 6 in the Champions League is not acceptable. Losing against Newcastle at home 3-0 in the Carabao Cup is not acceptable. We've lost 17 matches this season. Like, we have lost 17 matches in this season. And we still have difficult fixtures coming up. Like, every fixture at the minute for us is difficult, but nothing's guaranteed on Sunday. Nothing's guaranteed against Sheffield United or Burnley. Away to Palace, I mean, they beat Liverpool. Arsenal, they could beat us very handily. Newcastle could beat us. Brighton could beat us. Like, I'm being realistic when I say this. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but it could happen. It could happen. Anyway, Chatsport said at least expect a goal against Coventry. Yeah. Kieran, it's crazy that we have more shots on goal than our Sheffield United. Yeah, I mean, I seen one earlier as well, guys. We have conceded more shots on goal than the 2007-2008 Derby County team. The team that got, well, I guess, factually speaking, the worst team in Premier League history. We have conceded more shots on goal against, and we don't see it as an issue. Like, it's one of those, like, by the law of averages, the more shots you give your opposition, the more shots on target they'll get. The more shots on target they get, the more your goalkeeper has to save, and your goalkeeper can't save every shot, so you're going to start conceding goals. You know, that is the law of averages. You want to reduce your workload for your goalkeeper. The goalkeeper should be the last line of defence, not the first call of action. And I feel like for a long time at this club, you know, even with De Gea last season, that was part of the problem. And I say it during the week. Andre Onana has made 40 saves in his last 8 matches, and Ederson from Man City has made 38 saves all season. Like, you know, these are the levels we're talking about. Steph said, I said at the time the way we celebrated the Carabao was odd, like they'd done it and said the season. Yeah, it was an odd one. It was. Motta says United's going to penalties. Rashad said winning the Carabao Cup was meant to breed winning mentality. Yeah, it was. Like, that was supposed to be the day where we said, right, look, this team's got its first trophy in 6 years. We've been the nearly men twice or thrice under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We've won a trophy now. Let's go on. And whenever we got to the FA Cup final, yeah, we were playing Man City, but we probably believed we could have got something out of that match. And if it wasn't for 2 bad goalkeeping mistakes, we might have on the day. But it ultimately never happened. And I'm just, we haven't reached that level since. And I know we're in the FA Cup semi-final, but it's just one of those ones. Matata jumped to the left. Anyway, guys, look, it's an interesting one. Anyway, it's so odd and so difficult to know or what to say or how to respond to some of it, because like we could finish with our worst ever Premier League points tally, but at the same time we could also have a manager with the highest win percentage post Sir Alex Ferguson get sacked. Like, make it make sense. Like, seriously, make it make sense. Honestly, it's such an odd one. It's so stupidly complex, and only Manchester United could ever find themselves in this situation. Look, I'm not going to go through a Samuel Luckhurst article. We don't need that there, to be honest. I guess we'll move on to Jeremy Frimpong, will we? Yeah, okay. So Frimpong's a player we talked about a lot last season, and he's had a hell of a season for Bayer Leverkusen. Now, I think that you can make the case for a right back. I think we need a left back a lot more, but I think you could make a case for a right back. I just don't think Jeremy Frimpong is that guy, because when you look at how he's played for Bayer Leverkusen this season, it's been a wing back, and in his wing back role, he's practically playing on the right wing. He has been up in the offensive third so often for Bayer Leverkusen every single match, to the point that his defensive qualities and his defensive weaknesses are covered up by his attacking nature as a footballer. So it's one of those. I just don't think that's the answer for us at right back. I think what we need ideally is a right centre back, someone to play on the right hand side, and if they can cover at right back as well, then that's a big bonus for Manchester United. If they can play both, that could be really good. Bit of squad building if we can do that, knock two birds out with a one stone, because that gives us coverage at right back as well as solving the centre back issues. What have I got? Kieran said, I know it might sound random, but I used our transfer budget to get most of these players out. It's one of those, man. Like, I can see us definitely taking a loss in these players, and I think that's good, because there will be players who we have held on to because the ownership previously didn't want to lose out or like lose money on these players as seals. So it's one of those, like, if we have to sell Anthony and take 15 million from him, then so be it. If we sell Sancho for 25 million pounds, so be it. I guess, you know, we need to move these players on, and I think it's going to be a big summer for it. I can see already Anthony Martial likely to go. I think that's a good one. Rashad, can we get Frimpong, Grimaldo, or Palacios? I mean, I like Palacios. A little bit concerned about previous injuries, but he's been very good for Leverkusen this season. Grimaldo again is good, but these are players who are who are wing backs and have excelled in that role. Do we need to go and get them if we're going to play four at the back? It's one of those ones. Matata, what's the good word on the Glazers? I mean, the only word we have to think about when it comes to the Glazer family is just the word out, man. You know, that's what it's just got to be from start to finish. And I know, like yourself has said many times on this channel, that they've managed to divert the media attention away from themselves and onto Sir Jim Radcliffe, and everything's about what Ineos are going to do, and everything's about what Radcliffe's going to do, and nobody's talking about Glazers out. And maybe that's true to an extent, but I don't know. I think you could make that argument as well. But the good word is always going to be out. That's the only word we need to think about with those guys. As well as that, big ups and 21 likes. Much appreciated. Let me have a quick check of something as well, guys. See, Shelley is set to sign a new contract, which is good. That's good news. First professional ones. Rajat said, "What do United want to Lisa?" He's very good technically, but got no pace. He's quick, like he is quick. He's not explosively quick, but he's a player who can offer us a lot different, and something that maybe we don't necessarily have. And it's a bit of composure in the final third. It's a bit of know-how in the final third. He's a chance maker. He's a very good crosser. He will set up goals. And I think he could be really, 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 really good for us. And I would absolutely want to see him signed in this summer transfer window, because when you look at Rashford and you look at Bruno and you look at Garnacho, you look at Ahmad, you maybe look at Anthony, you've got a collection of players there who their first instinct is to try the through pass, the all or nothing ball. And if it comes off then you got a chance at goal. But if it doesn't come off, like it mostly doesn't, then you lose the ball. It's high risk, high reward. What Eliseo can do is use his body, use his dribbling, and use his technical ability on the ball to open up spaces for other players before playing safer passes into those areas. So I think as a profile, he's very good. Kieran Eze is a really good player. Rosette said he gets injured too much. If we're talking Elisa, the reason why Elisa's injury record is bad is because Crystal Palace cannot afford to not have Elisa in the squad, especially when Roy Hodgson was the manager in parts of this season. When they were in a relegation fight, they kept rushing the guy back from injury. He kept re-aggravating the same injury. I think in a better environment, yeah, he'll probably stay injury free anyway. Rajat will, like someone like Vinny, he creates a lot and is very quick. Yeah, but it's one of those, we got so many players like that. You know, we got Garnacho, we got Rashford, we have Anthony, who's supposed to be that. I think Elisa is just a nice different profile that we could do with. Eze, again, I like him. I think he's a good player. Like, he's fantastic technical ability. And again, like, these types of players are players that you wouldn't mind us signing, or at least getting before they make it to the Premier League. You know, that there is another one as well. You would like to see these players brought in before they go to a Palace. Why aren't we picking them up from those championship teams where we could get them a lot cheaper? I don't know. Anyway, guys, drop a like on today's video. We're up to 22 likes. Let's see if we can get up to 25, Lola. And in terms of our poll, most of you guys are going Nagelsmann. Motta is high as well. We've got a few for Potter and very few for Gareth Southgate. I'm not sure if we've got trolls in there maybe looking Southgate. I don't know. I feel like New England fans out there are looking for Southgate for the job. Anyway, let me double check something here as well. I think I'm gonna miss the story. Did I? Let me double check this. Did I miss something? It was maybe just a Donny van de Beek story. Yeah, it's potentially Van de Beek coming back for now, but probably going to leave in the summer. Yeah, we kind of talked about that. Ronnie's down there. I was always on the manager's side, but I feel it's time for a new manager in the summer. It's one of those, Ronnie, like, you don't want to sack a manager, but at some point it does become very difficult to back him based upon what we've seen this season and based upon the direction of where his managerial tenure is going. It gets harder to back, and I think it's because there's less. It's not like under Arteta, or it's not like under Jurgen Klopp when they came to Liverpool and Arsenal when, yeah, they were finishing in 8th or 9th place, but you could see the plan, you could see what they were going for, you could see the project, you had to back it and believe it. And at times Arteta could have been sacked, at times Klopp maybe wouldn't have been as successful as what he has been, but I think as well they always had signs of something that they were building. I don't know if I have that faith in Erik Ten Hag at the minute, and I really want to. And maybe at times I've had that faith this season, or wanted to. But I just think on the basis of play this year, it's been so unacceptable, and we've lost managers for a lot less than this in the past. Kieran is down there. All the candidates that are out there, I don't even know what they could do with the players. Yeah, look, it's one of those as well, man. It really is. It's not like if we sack Ten Hag and bring in Nagelsmann that he would take this team from 7th place to winning a treble or competing for trophies. Like, that would not happen overnight. It could be a long-term project, and it's going to be a project that's going to take this summer and probably next summer to get us to a point where we can compete. Thankfully for us, we are Manchester United, and we're in a position where 2 good summers with a lot of money spent, probably 250 million pound a summer, if it's spent right, on the right group of players, on the right selection, with the people in charge making the right calls, which we hope it will be, because now we have a footballing board that wants to do things in a footballing way and to do the best things for the football team, then I think that you're in a position where maybe you can bypass a lot of the steps. It mightn't be like Liverpool, where the first thing they did was work on their ability to press, and then they were a team that scored a lot of goals but conceded a lot of goals, and then they spent a lot of money on the defence And it took 4 years for them really to become a force. It might be a case that within 2 years you find a United team that could go out there and start to do things. I'm not saying that it's going to happen that way, but I just think that we have to have a bit of faith and a bit of hope, and whether Ten Hag's involved in that or not, it might go beyond that. Bourne said Ten Hag is also down tools. That's an interesting one. We see players have let the manager down, players have down tools. At what point do we start to say what's going on with the manager? Because some of it does look like sabotage at times. Some of those calls out there. Bourne said, if United go for Elise, nothing has changed. We should buy a prospect and develop him. Yeah, look, ideally you would have got Elise when he left. I think it was Reading he was at before. That was the time to get him. That would have been the best time to get him, but we weren't looking at that market either. Rosette goes, maybe Ten Hag wants a 10 or 15 million pound payout. I don't know. It'll definitely be a big one anyway. Rosette, when Radcliffe said United are wanting to be the next Mbappe, he did not pin Elise. No, he probably didn't, but I have faith that Elise, if signed, could be a good signing for us. I do. I'll back that signing if it happens. Just like I will back any signing this summer, I guess, for the most part. If it's heading in a certain direction, if we're buying a certain type of player to fit a certain system for a certain style and bringing a coach in on top of that, if necessary, then yeah, Joe, I'll back it by all accounts. Ronnie loves the Villa manager, but he won't leave Villa. I mean, Emery's criminally underrated. What he's done at Aston Villa is nothing short of exceptional across the board. Really, really good from Unai Emery at Aston Villa. So it's hard. It's hard to knock it. Like, it really is. It is. Dark Crow, is Ten Hag a yes man? I don't think so. I don't think so. He's a very demanding man. I think the allegations leveled against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was that he was too much of a yes man. I think Ten Hag's had a lot of his own say and a lot of his own way with a lot of how the club has been run. But I don't know. I really don't. Look, guys, I think we'll leave the stream there for now, but we will be back tomorrow, probably about 7, possibly just after as well. So I'm working. I have to go to the office tomorrow. I'll probably be back home at about 6:20. So maybe we'll do 6:30 tomorrow, if that suits everybody. I think maybe we'll do slightly later tomorrow. But guys, thanks so much for watching. Really appreciate it tonight, and we will be back again tomorrow. Big ups to everyone. Enjoy the Chelsea and Everton match if you're watching, and I'll catch everyone tomorrow.